I'm afraid the office closes at 5:30. Oh, it's Mr. Jones' associate, J.R. Jones.
Hi, fellas. What's the problem?
They want to hire Barnaby. I've explained that he won't be back until late tonight.
Yeah, like we said, we'll wait. You know, fellas, I'm afraid we're in a little bit of a crunch right now, and we can't really take on any new clients.
Does he, talk for the big man?
He's the only one who does.
You a relative?
Yeah, I'm his cousin. Listen, maybe I can recommend another private investigator.
Save it.
I was really glad to see you.
Well, thanks for the confidence, but did you see that one guy was a foot bigger than me? In all directions?
You were really cool.
Only on the outside. Did they say what they wanted?
Just that they insisted on talking to Barnaby.
Have you heard from him?
Yes, he called to say that he wouldn't be back until about 8. And to remind you to pick up the report from the police on the insurance case.
Ah, did California Meridian send over the authorization for the police to release the report? They did. Well, I better get it in gear, because when I'm through with this, I have to hit the books at the law library.
I thought you said you had a date with Debbie to, patch things up.
8 sharp. And if I'm late, I blow 2 weeks of plea bargaining.
Good luck.
Thank you. Well, if you want it, fellas, it's yours.
You're going with us, or you're going to Slab City.
All right, one last time. I don't know who you are, and I don't know where you're from, but right now you're facing a kidnapping rap.
Yeah? So?
So I just hate to see you take the big fall. Look, I tell you what, I'll take a walk, and we'll forget the whole thing, okay?
Hey, stay loose, smart mouth. Only one dude calls the shots around here, and he wants to talk to you.
Who's this yo-yo?
Barnaby Jones wasn't there. Chick in the office says he's Jones' associate.
And his cousin, too.
What's the matter with you guys? I send you after the big man, you bring me his cousin?
Hey, look, we all make mistakes, right? I'll tell you the truth, you're absolutely right. I'm not even in Barnaby Jones's class. So if it's okay with you guys, I'll just be on my way and no hard feelings.
Hit the brakes, man. What do they call you?
JR.
And you work with Jones?
Part-time, I'm studying to be a lawyer.
Come on, Duke. I told you, this whole thing stinks, man. We don't need no private cops sticking their nose in our business, man.
Shut up, Vic. I think this is my man. There's no way Barnaby Jones can pass for one of us on the street, but he can.
Oh, let's not get carried away. And nobody's even told me why I'm here.
You know what that is?
It's a scorpion, right?
Yeah.
I read about you guys in the paper, something about somebody from another gang killing one of your leaders night before last.
Yeah, my co-captain Marco Wilson.
And that means a war between the two gangs and more killings.
That's the way it is, man. See, but Marco and me were looking for a better way. And now I'm on my own and I need some help.
Like what?
You find the dude who snuffed Marco and there's a chance I can keep the war from going down.
Now, wait a minute. You're not gonna pass off that responsibility on me.
That's where it's at, man.
Well, I got news for you, man. I don't appreciate being kidnapped.
You wouldn't have come any other way.
What makes you so sure?
Because it's a one-way trip if you don't deliver. If there is a war, you'll know a little too much for us to leave you around alive.
How much time do I have?
Gang's up tight. I don't know how long I can keep them from going after the Hawks. A day, maybe 2.
Oh, you gotta be kidding me.
And the Hawks aren't the only suspects.
What do you mean?
The Hawks ought to be making a lot of noise about snuffing a Scorpion leader, but they're not. It could mean one of our own guys did it.
Oh, great.
Come on, I want you to meet the boys.
You shouldn't have waited around for me, baby.
Oh, well, I had those letters to get out. Besides, I missed you. Especially this afternoon.
Why, what happened?
Oh, I was here by myself, and these two young, tough fellas came in.
What was their problem?
Well, they wanted to see you, and wouldn't leave without seeing you. Thank heavens JR came in and convinced them that we weren't going to take on any new clients. Oh, it seems silly now, but at the time, it was pretty scary. Nope.
Jedediah didn't answer?
I figured that he is on his way to his date with Debbie.
So unlike Jedediah not to bring back a police report.
I'm sure he felt that you'd be too tired to read through it tonight and was going to bring it by tomorrow.
Watch the street, soldier.
It's like a noisy break-in. Didn't anybody hear it?
Yeah, the neighbors.
Well, didn't they call the police?
They minded their own business.
Looks like he lost an awful lot of blood. How many times was he shot?
Doc, only once, in the abdomen. The bullet must have hit some vital organs.
Where'd you hear that?
The ME who was here told me it was a small caliber slug in the gut. If it missed the vitals, that wouldn't be fatal. I guarantee it.
What, are you into medicine or something?
Yeah, everything I can read.
I don't suppose the neighbors told the police what time they heard the shot.
Yeah, they told us it was 10:30.
Right after I dropped him off.
Then it figures that the killer was probably in here waiting for him. Were there signs of a fight?
No, it must have been an ambush.
I don't want you here. Get out, all of you.
Mrs. Wilson, I'm sorry. We didn't know that you'd be home.
How did you get in?
Through the back door. I'll have one of the guys put a piece of glass in it for you.
No, don't touch it. I don't want to see your faces around here ever again.
Oh, who needs this, man? She's stoned.
Shut up, Vic! You took my son. What more do you want?
We got a private eye working for us, Mrs. Wilson. He's gonna find the creep that killed Marco.
Well, I can save you the trouble. They killed my boy. Every one of them. If it wasn't for their rotten gang and their stupid fighting, he'd still be alive.
Miss Wilson, why don't you sit down here? Come on.
Doctor probably has her on sedatives and we woke her up.
Would you like some water?
Please, just leave.
Come on.
You've been bothering my mother.
We didn't mean to, Tina. We didn't think anybody would be home.
Duke, I told you how she felt about the Scorpions, and you said you'd stay away.
I had a reason. I want you to meet J.R. Jones. He's a private cop. He's trying to find out who killed Marco, and he wanted to see where it all went down.
My brother's gone, and that's where it ends for us. It's only the Scorpions that have to have their revenge.
cops.
Been looking for you, Duke. Why the runaround? Too busy talking war?
Me? Come on, is that what you think?
I know how tight you were with Marco. Now, he was a straight dude, not like this psycho you got for a co-captain now.
It's democracy at work, Sarge. Vic got himself duly elected.
New recruit?
No, it's my cousin JR. He's down from Frisco. He's staying with me.
Sergeant Joe Dean.
Congratulations.
That's funny, Marco getting snuffed in his pad. The Hawks usually operate in the street where there's plenty of getaway room, like you guys.
You asking or telling?
Same old tune, huh? Nobody saw anything, nobody knows anything. I thought since it was Marco, it might be different this time. My mistake.
Hey, why don't you get off our backs, Dean? We could take care of our own problems, you know?
It's my problem, too, and don't forget it. And listen, dummies, Marco's killer belongs to me. Now, you snuff him, or declare war on our Hawks, and I'll come down hard on every one of you.
Like I told you before, JR, there's only one other way to go. It's all up to you.
Well, aren't you the early bird?
Betty, I'm worried about Jedediah. I called him last night. I called him again this morning at 7 o'clock. He wasn't in.
Do you, think we should call Debbie's?
I called her. I got her number out of his book, but she said he didn't even show up for the date last night.
I don't understand that. He was very anxious about getting there on time to pick her up.
Betty, I don't usually worry about Jedediah, but there's something out of kilter here.
Oh, I don't know. Maybe I've been around detectives too long, but you know those two men that I told you about yesterday? Well, JR left right after they did.
What did they look like?
Young, tough, street types. Oh, they were dressed well enough, but I felt that they would be more comfortable in leather jackets.
Betty, remember that youth gang conference the county sponsored a few months ago?
Yes, you were on the panel.
Afterward, I had a rap session with a couple of young fellows, Duke Moran and Marco Wilson. They were co-leaders of one of the hardcore gangs, the Scorpions.
Barnaby, both of them had what looked like scorpions tattooed on the back of their hand. You think the two men I talked to yesterday were the same ones you met at the gang conference?
I don't know, but I'm sure gonna find out.
I guess I owe you one, dude. I got the word you wanted to talk to me. Got a lot of guts coming down here alone.
Maybe, but the way I figure it, I won't be alone going back. I'll have JR to keep me company. Where is he?
JR who?
My associate. A couple of your boys came by the office yesterday. JR hasn't been seen since.
Why would my people want to grab this JR?
My guess is because I wasn't around and he was. Police told me about your friend Marco. Figures there's a connection.
You remember Marco?
At that conference, I told you and Marco I'd like to help. That still goes, but I want JR first.
Same old mouth music. Everybody wants to help until you have to put it on the line.
Try me.
Maybe we already have. Maybe we've got your associate JR down here to help us, and you come down here to yank him out.
I came down here to ask you, man to man, to let JR go. But that doesn't seem to cut any ice. So now I'm going to tell you. I got a phone call from JR within an hour telling me that he is free and unharmed. If I don't get that, I'm coming back with an army of police. And we're going to take your turf apart.
Hold on. He just walked in. It's JR.
Jedediah?
Barnaby, I'm okay. Really, I am.
The Scorpions have a gun to your head?
No, but they're not about to let me go either.
I'll call Lieutenant Biddle and we'll be on our way.
Oh, no, hold it, Barnaby. I wish you'd give me a little more time before you do that. Because there's a chance of stopping this gang war if I can find Marco's killer.
And there's a chance you could get your foot cut in the ringer.
Now, wait a minute. Listen to me, Barnaby. I've seen enough to know that the Scorpions need all the help that they can get, and I just would like to give it my best shot.
You're a pretty muley kid, Jedediah. This time you might get yourself killed. I don't like to, but I'll stay put if that's the way you want it.
Thanks, Barnaby.
And stay in touch. I'm going to check a few things. I may want to pull you out fast.
Okay, I sure will. Talk to you later. Goodbye.
Before you came in, JR asked if you'd look up the police and autopsy reports on Marco's murder.
Go over to police headquarters and pick up a copy of that insurance case report we never got. And while you're there, get a copy of the one on Marco.
I thought we had a truce going, man.
Takes two.
Don't try to snow me, Max. First Marco gets snuffed, and then last night a couple of your dudes pulled a chariot attack.
Yeah, well, I didn't send him. What do you want from me?
Look, punk, I'm busting my gut trying to keep my troops in line, but I can't cut it unless you take care of business.
Hey, what's the use? We know the Scorpions think that we snuffed Marco. Now, that means war, whether you and I like it or not. My men in the cherry were just getting in the first shot. Now, who's the dude with Crazy Vic?
J.R. Jones. It's a private eye.
Who's the Hawks captain?
Name's Max Tate. They call him the Magician.
How come?
Because he likes to play hit and run. Yeah, the Hawks are always showing up when you're not expecting them. I got another name for Max. Chicken.
Who's the chick over there?
Chick? That's a woman, Jack. Sherry Gordon. Went to the same high school. Until I dropped out.
How come she's here?
She hangs out with the Hawks, but she ought to hook up with the Scorpions, which would be appreciated.
She Max's old lady?
Nah, Max don't have one. Hey, I don't know what he's saving it for because I got the feeling he ain't going to be around long enough to enjoy it.
J.R. Come here.
You work with Barnaby Jones, right?
That's right.
I met him at the county rap session. He seemed straight.
Now you can believe it.
Okay. I'll play the game as long as I can, but I'll tell you this right now. If a Hawk iced the Scorpions' #2 man, he'd be broadcasting it.
Look, everybody on the street knows you and Marco had a private little war going on.
Really? What about?
I'm a Hawk. He's a Scorpion. We're natural enemies. Right?
I tell you, man, with frank answers like that and the kind of cooperation I've seen around here so far, got about as much of a chance of solving this case as an icicle in a heat wave, as Barnaby would say.
Max!
Hold it. Sorry about that. I just wanted to ask you to check to see where all your people were when Marco was murdered.
Why not?
Oh, I think he's cute, Max. Why don't I invite him to join the Hawks personally?
Cool it, Sherry. Yeah, the guy's got guts, I'll give him that.
Tina, can I talk to you for a minute? What time do you get off work?
Not till 10.
Oh, we can't wait for an hour. Sit down.
Tina, everybody knows there was bad blood between Max and your brother, but nobody knows why. Did he ever talk about it?
He never told me anything about gang business. Why can't you guys just leave us alone? Isn't Marco's life enough for our family to give to the Scorpions?
Hey, this isn't a revenge thing for me. I don't have a choice. Now, look, this morning I saw Crazy Vic come on to you, and you put him down like it wasn't the first time.
It wasn't. Vic's always hitting on me.
Well, did Marco know that?
Yeah, and he didn't like it. But I told him like I'll tell you. I can take care of myself. Look, I gotta go. Hello?
Let me see what's on the jukebox.
Look, I can't talk now. Hey, that's not gonna be easy. All right, where? Yeah, I know it. The garage at Tucker and 9th. Okay, 11. Bye.
Tony, check the kitchen.
She's split. Tina! Tina, get down!
Why are they after our chicks?
Could be they aren't choosy. Could be they are. Either way, we better find out before they stop missing. Don't quit on me. Now, I'm telling you, Tina has some answers. She just doesn't know it. I've got to talk to her alone. She's not going to open up if you're there.
So talk to her in the morning.
The morning may be too late.
It's already too late. They're using our chicks for target practice. I had to send the challenge.
Look, the whole thing could be a mistake. You yourself admitted that the car that attacked Tina didn't even belong to the Hawks.
So what? So they ripped it off from a used car lot. What else is new?
All right, let's get out of here. I just rounded up a few more of these.
Where are they?
In my van out and back.
Move it. I don't want them there for the same reason I don't want our dudes running down the street with guns shoved in their belts. That's just what Dean's cops are going to be looking for, trying to find the battlefield. They could even show up here.
All right, relax, man. I just wanted to show them to you, that's all.
All right.
Yeah.
Let's go.
Oh, no. Come on, grab a mattress. Come on. Put it out fast. Right. Come on, come on.
He's got my car keys!
really missed you, baby. When I heard about Marco, I wanted to come right over. I should have been there with you and your ma.
I know I wanted to call, but I was so afraid.
So stupid.
Gotta get away from here before it's too late.
I tried to reach my uncle up in Fresno, but he's out of town or something.
What are we gonna do? I heard Duke and the guys talking war. You said there wouldn't be any more.
That was before the Scorpions challenged us. Now I don't have any choice. It was Duke's job to keep the lid on his troops.
He was until someone tried to kill me tonight.
What?
Someone in a car took a shot at me.
You think it was one of my people?
Who else?
I don't know. Maybe it's somebody who wants this rumble to happen.
Okay, sucker. Easy, Max. I'm clean.
He was in the diner when you called. He must have followed me.
Well, this certainly explains the beef between you and Marco, huh, Max? He found out about you two, and he didn't want to admit that his own sister was seeing the captain of the Hawks, and you certainly didn't want the other Hawks to know, right? So you had to kill him.
No. We love each other. Max wouldn't kill my brother.
Maybe it wasn't on purpose. Maybe Max was waiting in the house for you, Marco walked in, and maybe it was self-defense.
Wait, man. I don't ever go near Scorpion turf, so forget about their houses. I'm the prize every Scorpion punk is trying to blow away.
Can't you understand? I'm the reason he went along with my brother and Duke. It's why there hasn't been a war for months. He loves me.
But he could never have you unless he got rid of Marco. That's a heavy motive.
You're not hanging this on me, man.
Max, no. He saved my life at the diner.
Okay. This time. But you tell anybody about us, I'll find you, man.
Hello.
What a great bedroom voice. You know, you ought to use it at the office.
JR? Is that you? Are you all right?
Listen, I'm sorry to wake you, but I couldn't get an answer at Barnaby's.
Oh. Well, you should be still at headquarters talking to Lieutenant Biddle. Hey, are you all right?
So far, has Barnaby gone over the reports on Marco's murder?
Yes. I don't know if there'll be much help, except that the bullet came from a .22 caliber pistol, and the powder burns established that he was shot at close range.
Did Marco have a gun?
Yes, but it was found in his belt, unfired. Looks like Marco either knew the killer, or he didn't get a chance to pull it.
Betty, do me a favor. Run a make on a guy named Max Tate. And I need it, you know, yesterday.
Max Tate, right. Anything else?
Yeah, you could pray a little.
JR, is there anything you want me to tell Barnaby?
Tell Barnaby that I got loose, that I'm running out of time, and the war could pop any minute.
JR.
Don't worry. I'll talk to you later, okay? Yeah. Goodbye.
All right.
Nice of you to leave soldiers' wheels where we could spot them.
Well, fellas, you win some and you lose some.
What are you doing here?
I was looking for a new car. You know, his crate isn't exactly in tip-top shape.
Stoners, Vic. He came here to call the cops. Oh, that's okay, because they got a surprise waiting for him. Dead one.
You listen to me. You blow me up here, and Barnaby Jones will have the whole police force right down on you guys.
He's right, Vic. Duke said if we have to waste him, we do it on the battlefield.
What do you mean, if? What's he gonna do by noon tomorrow? We snuff him now.
Noon tomorrow? What do you mean, the war's set?
What are you worried about? You ain't gonna be around to see it.
Cool it, Vic. You're not number one yet.
Yeah, maybe not yet. But Duke's losing his guts. And most of the guys ain't digging it. Okay. You're off the hook tonight, Turkey. But tomorrow, you're dead meat.
Duke, I found out something last night. There's a long shot chance I can still find the killer if you cut me loose.
Oh, sure. And you go right to the cops, right?
Oh, come on. I could have done that last night, but I didn't. Besides, I don't even know where your war's gonna be.
You think I'm stupid, JR?
No, I don't think you're stupid. Look, I'll make a deal with you. You cut me loose, I'll be back here by 11:30. Now, if I get lucky, I'll have all the proof we need. Either way, I'll come back.
That's less than 2 hours.
I told you it's a long shot.
How do I know you'll be back?
Only my word.
You go to the cops, I'm dead. My own troops will take me down.
Come on, I promise it's worth the gamble. I'm gonna need a car.
Take soldiers. It won't be the first time. Go ahead.
Barnaby Jones Investigations, may I help you?
Betty, JR, if Barnaby is there, put him on, okay?
Right. It's JR.
Stay on the line. Jedediah, where are you?
Barnaby, there's no time. The gang war is at 12 noon.
Where?
I don't know.
Why don't you come over to Lieutenant Biddle's office? Maybe we can help him track it down.
Barnaby, I can't. Duke put his back to the wall, letting me go, and I'm chasing a good lead.
Well, how can we help?
Did you get anything on Max Tate?
I have his rap sheet right here. He's an ex-convict, been back on the street almost a year after serving a minimum sentence for assault.
Any family, Betty?
Not locally, but there's a person listed to be notified in case of an emergency. Sherry Gordon.
Hold it, wait a minute. Sherry Gordon. Is there an address there?
Yeah, 1441 Bower Street.
Jedediah, do you know where Duke is now?
Yeah, I left him at a condemned building on the corner of 8th and Center. He's gonna be there till 11:30, but I gave him my promise, Barnaby, that I wouldn't tip the police.
I don't think they could get anything out of him, even if you did. Did you make any promises about me?
No.
I think you have the makings of a good lawyer. There are times when you are downright sneaky.
Yeah, but always in a good cause. I'll talk to you later. Goodbye.
Betty, call Lieutenant Biddle. Tell him the Hawks and the Scorpions are going to war at noon, but we don't know where. Maybe his men can squeeze a little harder and find out.
Where will you be?
I'll be keeping a close eye on Duke. I don't think they'll start the war without him.
Hi. Decided to accept your invitation.
You should have phoned first.
Well, this way it'll be more fun.
Hey, I'm over here.
Sherry, you want me to tell you where you're really at? You're up to your eyeballs in Marco's murder.
What do you want, some kind of a trip? Look, I don't know where you're coming from.
Right here. You used to be Max's old lady, huh?
He's past history.
Not to you. He served his time, and then he dumped you for Tina Wilson, and you couldn't handle it.
Who's, Tina Wilson?
Oh, come on. the girl you tried to shoot last night, and I'm betting that the proof is still in this apartment.
You know, you have no right going through my stuff. You're not a cop.
You're right. I'm not a cop. I'm just a guy who doesn't want to see any more people get killed.
So hot about that leather jacket?
It's the same color I saw on the person who tried to shoot Tina last night.
It's Max's. You can see it's a guy's jacket.
Yeah, I can see it's a guy's jacket. What's it doing in your closet?
He left it here last night.
All right, why don't you get some clothes on and we'll ask him.
He tried to force me.
This tears it, man.
All right, just hear me out first.
He's working for the Scorpions. Max, kill him.
Sherry killed Marco. She tried to kill Tina because she was jealous. The whole war is a mistake.
Why would she snuff Marco?
She didn't mean to. She was waiting there for Tina, and Marco walked in on her.
Marco wouldn't let a chick take him.
Look, the coroner's report said that he was shot at close range. The police report said he didn't even have a chance to get his gun out, which would mean that he was trying to take Sherry's away, and it went off by accident.
I don't buy it. I still say one of the Scorpions got Marco.
Max, listen to me. It doesn't make sense. Look, the killer made a lot of noise breaking glass to get in. Now, you know that any one of the gang would have used a plastic credit card to jimmy the door open. Besides, the whole MO is wrong for a gang hit. It had to be a personal motive. Now, look, I think this jacket was worn by whoever tried to shoot Tina. Now, Sherry says that you left it here last night.
You said you lost this when I was in the slammer. Why couldn't you let go? I told you I was sorry.
You promised to marry me.
When I got out, it just didn't click anymore.
We were fine until Tina came along. It's all her fault. I never meant to shoot Marco.
I think the gun is probably still in this apartment somewhere. All right, now, unless that's been reloaded, there's one round in there missing from last night. Huh? It's 11:45. I better call the cops, see if they can stop that war.
No, nobody calls the cops.
All right, but it's up to us, okay?
Okay, we don't have much time. We better hurry.
That seems to be the name of the game around here. Come on, Sherry. Come on.
I want to take it before the magician shows up.
Duke isn't here yet either.
Who needs him, man?
Lieutenant Biddle, please.
Let's head him before the magician gets here. That way we get the edge.
Don't sweat it, Vic. I want to have a final head-to-head with Max first.
Yeah.
Lieutenant, I hope your men are coming code 3. I'm going to be awfully lonely down there. Yeah. Young lady. Don't go down there.
Don't try and stop me, please.
All right, if you stay with me.
So where's this JR punk?
I told you, he's my problem, man.
You let him split. You hear that? Duke let this private detective split. You know what that means? He's gonna rat on everyone in his gang. I say, let's take the Hawks now and cut out of here before this place is crawling with cops. Let's go.
Yeah,
let's go.
Let's go. Come on. Go.
All right, everybody, hold it. The war is off.
Yeah?
The Hawks didn't kill Marco Wilson. They didn't try to blow up any Scorpion chick.
Well, then who did?
It was a girl. She's gonna be turned over to the police.
Hey, they're lying. Max and Duke are running a number with this turkey.
No, it's the truth. I don't want anyone else getting hurt.
I think a public handshake would probably break this thing up. Look, why don't you just consider it my fee, okay? There's a war on here. What happened?
I talked to my associate, Jedediah Jones. I think he has a lady for you to take into custody. That was a pretty close call, gentlemen.
Too close for me, man. I'm hanging it up with the Hawks. The city. My uncle's got a farm up in Fresno. Told me I could come up there and help him out after I graduated from the Slammer. Now I'm gonna take him up on it.
I think I'm gonna like it up in the country.
How about you, Duke? You fed up too?
All the way, Barnaby. But my relatives don't want me any closer than the telephone. Anyway, I figure the Scorpions are my real family. And they made a move in the right direction now. I think I'll just stick around and help them keep their heads straight.
That's a break for them.
Some of them deserve a lot more than I can do. It's like Doc Evans. The kid ought to be in college. He'll make a hell of a doctor someday. Ask JR about him.
I will.
And I might need your help again if I ever get in a bind. If you're tied up, maybe you could spare JR. Because he's practically a member of the gang now.
Duke, you can count on it. Except for one thing. I'm a real coward when it comes to tattoos.
I hope you didn't mind my picking this place, Peg. It's not the original that you're used to in Paris, the real thing and all that stuff. But Mom and Pop did like to take us here when we were kids.
C'est très touchant. C'est parfait, Neil.
And you take it easy. You know I almost flunked French when I was in high school, remember?
Oh, no. You did flunk French in high school.
Oh, and you never forget anything, do you?
Not a thing. I think it's perfect, Neil. Brings back so many memories. Nice ones.
Yeah. I wish the folks were alive now to see you all grown up. A budding artist. One dishy-looking chick, too.
Oh, thank you. You always were my #1 fan.
Peg, it's really nice to have you home.
It's really nice to be here. First thing tomorrow, I'm going to look for my own apartment.
Why? There's plenty of room in my place. Stay as long as you like.
Well, I just don't want to cramp your style, big brother.
You're sure it's not your style we're cramping?
Oh, you didn't expect me to spend all my time in Paris just studying, did you?
I certainly did. You know, it looks like we're keeping everybody up here. Are you ready? Good.
Neil, I promised myself I wasn't going to ask you this.
Mm-hmm.
But I just can't resist. When did you decide you needed that beard?
A couple of weeks ago. It looks very distingué, don't you?
Oh, Mr. Giroux. I hope everything was all right.
That was perfect as usual, Michelle.
Thank you. Et vous, mademoiselle Giroux?
Ah oui, Michel, votre cuisine est toujours excellente.
Oh, wait a minute. I'll go get the car and I'll see you out front.
Okay.
Good night.
Good night.
Comment ça va, Michel?
Très bien, merci. Et j'espère que votre séjour en France a été agréable.
God, Neil! Please, is anybody here? Can someone help us? Don't move. Don't move, Bobby. I'll get some help. Michelle!
Oh, Miss Giroux, what's wrong?
My brother's been hit by a car.
Oh.
No, wait. Call an ambulance. Firstly, he's hurt very badly.
Yes, right away.
Well, of course.
Andre, let me have the phone.
Hurry!
The phone, please. I've got to call a
Hurry!
hospital. Thank you.
My brother's been hurt. Do you have a blanket?
Well, a blanket, no, but how about some brandy? That'll keep him warm.
Yes.
Hello? Yes, there has been an accident at 521 Saint Remo Street. A man was hit by a car. In front of Michel's restaurant. Please hurry. Thank you.
Coming?
Yes, right away. Where is he?
He's gone.
I don't understand.
He was just crossing the street to get the car and he was hit.
Miss Giroux, maybe you just, comment dit-on,
No, I saw him run down. He was lying there bleeding. Michel, I saw it with my own eyes. Barnaby? Sorry.
You sure this is the spot?
Yes, I remember. He was right there.
No trace of blood.
The police didn't find any blood either, Mr. Jones, but he was bleeding.
Well, I guess we covered all the bases.
You've got to help me find my brother. I've got nowhere else to turn.
Peggy, the police didn't report any accident. Neither did the hospital treat anyone who resembled a description of your brother.
Barnaby, what if... Well, supposing he had a head injury, and he got up from the accident and just wandered away without really knowing what he was doing.
Amnesia?
It's possible, isn't it?
No. He was hurt too badly. He couldn't have gotten up.
Barnaby! This is Michel. He's the owner of the restaurant, Barnaby Jones.
How do you do?
You know Miss Giroux? It's Betty Jones.
Michelle, tell them what happened.
Mr. Jones, as I just told your associate, the only thing I know about an accident is what Miss Giroux told me.
And you didn't see it?
Nothing. I came outside and the street was deserted. If you want my opinion...
I didn't imagine it. It happened.
I'm sorry, Miss Giroux, but you and your brother had quite a bit of wine. And, well...
I only had one glass. I am telling you, he really was hit, and he was really lying right there.
I only know what I saw.
Thank you, Michelle.
You don't believe me either, do you? I can see it in your faces. You think I'm crazy.
Peggy, that's not true.
Barnaby! Look at this.
What'd you find?
It's a tissue. It looks like there's blood on it.
That's right. I used a tissue to wipe some blood from Neil's face.
This could be the one. Peggy, did you say that your brother was a broker in heavy machinery?
He has his own company, Westland Engineering Corporation.
Betty, would you check out that company, please?
All right. Meet you back at the office?
Yes, we'll call you as soon as we take Peggy home.
Believe it? Not a clue? What about in here?
I've looked in there already. Check the other bedroom.
I'm telling you, if it's anywhere in this apartment, it's invisible.
It's got to be somewhere, Ray. And we've got to find it.
I've lived here for almost 5 years.
Heavy machinery pays well. Mind if we have a look around?
No, whatever you want, Mr. Jones. Perhaps you'd like to start with his desk?
Peggy, you said you had a picture of Neil that we could borrow?
Yes. It's in the bedroom. I'll get it for you.
Peggy? You paint this?
Yes. That's what I was doing in Paris. Studying art.
It's terrific.
Thank you. This is the most recent one I had. It was taken about a year ago. Oh, he has a beard now.
His curtain didn't knock that off.
Mr. Jones, that window wasn't open either.
Are you sure?
Yes, I'm sure. I was in here. And I remember locking it before I left today. Someone's been here. I am sure of it.
Why don't we look at this?
Yeah, somebody's been in here, all right.
Someone's been through this closet. Everything's just a little out of place.
Check all the doors and windows. Any idea what he might have been after?
No.
Your brother worried about anything?
No, I told you, he seemed fine, just like always.
Was Neil going with anyone?
No. He never said anything, but there is a picture of a girl that he keeps around. Here.
To Neil, my love always Jan.
Have you any idea who this Jan is?
No.
Obviously in show business, she's leaning on a camera.
I Those are dancer's legs if I've ever seen them, Barnaby.
A resident leg expert. Nobody better qualified.
Hello? Yes, hold on, please. It's for you, Mr. Jones, Betty.
Betty, I'm glad you called. I want you to find a girl for me. Name is Jan. She's a brunette, long hair, dancer's legs. Very pretty. Very sultry looking.
Barnaby, this isn't a personal request, is it?
I think you'll find her in television or motion pictures or nightclubs. See if you can locate her.
All right, I'll do what I can. Oh, now wait. Wait till you hear what I came up with.
Thank you, Betty. It's very interesting.
What is it?
The company Neil said he worked with, Westland Engineering Corporation, doesn't exist.
I don't understand.
It never did exist. Which means that your brother was deliberately lying about what he was doing, but the question is, why?
Jan Redbone?
Ah, you're the man from dance today. My agent told me you'd be coming by for an interview.
I hate to disappoint you, but I'm not from dance today.
You're not?
My name is Barnaby Jones. I'm a private investigator. I'd like to ask you a few questions.
About what?
You know a man named Neil Giroux?
Yes,
When's the last time you saw him?
about a week ago. Why?
He disappeared last night.
Disappeared?
Yes, I'm afraid so. What do you know about him?
I'm not sure. Sometimes I think I know everything, and other times he's a total stranger. I know he's very successful, something to do with heavy machinery. He likes to travel a lot.
Do you know where he travels to?
No. Whenever I would ask, he managed to change the subject. I used to kid him about being a secret agent.
What else?
I know I love him, and I think he loves me in his way. But I also know that he's seeing someone else. Maybe that's where he's disappeared, with her.
Why don't you tell me about it? It could be so very helpful. His sister's awfully worried about him.
Well, about 6 weeks ago, he broke a date with me at the last minute. He said it was business. I didn't believe him. So I waited outside of his place and then followed him to an apartment on Laura Vista. Not exactly an office building.
Did you get a look at the girl?
No. I suddenly got an attack of pride. So I went home, packed, left the next morning to do a television show in New York. I was gone about 2 weeks.
What was that address?
Mr. Jones, this isn't very easy for me.
I'm sure it isn't. I can appreciate that, but it would help so very much if you could give me that address.
315 South Laura Vista, apartment 7.
Thank you very much. Good luck on the interview.
Well, that's one lock you won't be able to open with a plastic credit card.
Thanks, JR. That's really nice of you.
Well, you're easy to be nice to. But listen, I got an idea. Been a long day and probably hungry, so why don't I run out and pick something up? What do you like? Italian? Chinese?
Couldn't. I'm too worried about Neil.
Oh, come on, Peg. It's gonna work out. You'll see. Look, as soon as we straighten this out, you and I are gonna celebrate. Because I know this terrific place at the beach with candlelight and lobster, white wine. How's that sound?
Sounds great. I'll take a rain check, okay?
Yeah.
I'll get it.
Oh, excuse me. Doesn't Neil Giroux live here anymore?
Yes, I'm his sister Peggy.
Peggy? Jim Rhodes. You don't remember me.
Jim Rhodes. Jim! Come in. Come in. I'm sorry. It's just been such a long time.
It certainly has. The last time I saw you, you were about that high. You had freckles, skin knees, and braces.
Well, on the bright light, you can still see the freckles.
I can't get over it. Didn't Neil tell me you're living in Paris?
Yes, I was. I just got back last week. Oh, I'm sorry. Jim, this is J.R. Jones.
Hi, Jim.
This is Jim Rhodes, an old friend of Neil's.
Nice to meet you. Now, where is that tiger? I phoned him I was going to be in town.
He's not here.
Well, where is he?
Last night, he was in an accident. Hit and run. I went to get help. When I came back, he was gone. No one's seen him since.
I don't understand. You mean he just disappeared?
Yes. I've hired J.R. to help find him.
Are you with a detective agency?
Yeah, when was the last time you saw Neil?
Oh, it's been over a year. I've been out of the country also. I work for an oil company in Tehran.
Excuse me.
Tehran. Sounds
Hello?
interesting.
Yes.
Yes, it is. Very.
Hold on, please. J.R., it's Mr. Jones. So, he just...
Yeah, Barney. Everything all right over there?
fine. What'd you find out?
I found out the address of another girl Neil was seeing. I'm on my way over there now.
Well, listen, maybe I'll join you. Peggy will be okay. She's with a friend of Neil's.
315 South Laura Vista. I'll see you out front.
Okay, I'm on my way.
Any news?
Not yet. Listen, I'll call you later. Nice meeting you.
Same here. Hey, come on, Peg. I'm sure there must be some simple explanation.
Where is it, Neil? Now, what have you done with it? Where did you put it, Neil? Where, Neil?
Ivan. Sounds like he's saying Ivan.
Who is Ivan, Neil?
Ivan.
Neil, where is it? Where did you put it? Give him another shot.
He needs his rest, Mr. Buchanan.
And I need information now. You bring him too.
Barnaby, you sure this is the right address?
Isn't exactly what I pictured for Neil.
Candy Mason.
Oh, and here I thought it was going to be just another run-of-the-mill evening.
Miss Mason,
My friends call me Candy.
I wonder if we could talk to you for a few minutes inside.
Mm-mm. Outside's for talk, inside's for action.
I'm afraid you misunderstood. My name's Barnaby Jones. I'm a private investigator. This is my associate, Jedediah Jones.
I always wanted to meet the Jones boys. What do you want?
You know a guy named Neil Giroux?
It's possible, but I'm not very good on names.
Well, he was seen entering your apartment.
When?
About 6 weeks ago.
This apartment here?
Number 7.
Well, then he wasn't coming to see me because I've only been here a couple of weeks. I used to live upstairs, but after the murder, they couldn't give this place away, so I got it for a steal. Twice the space, half the rent.
What murder was that?
You didn't read about it? There was a man who was shot dead right there in that living room.
Oh, yeah. I remember reading something about that. Guy named Smith.
Harry Smith.
Yeah, I was doing my midterm on homicide when I noticed the item. About 6 weeks ago.
You know, you would be surprised how many Smiths and Joneses there are in this trap. Oh, I'm sorry. Nothing personal.
Was the killer ever caught?
He's still on the loose, even though we did give the police a description.
You saw him?
Some of us did when he was running down the hall.
What do you look like?
Well, he was tall. I'd say he was over 6 feet. He had a good build, like an athlete, and he had dark brown hair. You know, he was kind of cute.
You look like that?
You know something? He sure did. But I told the police he was moving so fast. You can see how dark these corridors are. I wouldn't want to swear to it in court, but oh boy, does that look like the killer to me.
All my dinner dates ain't as little as you. I'd be a rich man by now.
Jim, I warned you I wouldn't be very good company.
Look, you've got to remember, there is a logical explanation for everything, including what happened to Neil. So just hang in there, all right?
I'm trying.
I know you are. Look, I still say Neil is going to be all right. Peg, I have known him a long time. He can handle anything. Believe me, he can.
I sure hope so.
Look, why don't you get us some coffee, huh?
Okay. Hello? Yes, he is. Hold on, please. It's for you. Who knows you're here?
Oh, I left a number with the hotel, in case my office wanted to get in touch with me. I hope you don't mind. It could be important.
Of course not. Well, you can take it over there if you want.
Yeah, thanks. Hello. Yes. Did you get those contracts?
What have you got?
Nothing yet, Mr. Buchanan. I'm not even sure she knows anything. How's it going on your end?
Well, we've given him a drug. It seems like he's saying the word Ivanhoe. Does that mean anything to you?
Yes, well, I'll look into that.
Coffee be ready in a minute.
Fine. We used to go to a restaurant by that name in San Francisco, but I can't see the connection. The only thing I can think of is the book. Is the book. Just hold on a minute. I think I found it, Mr. Buchanan. Looks like a key to a safety deposit box.
Get right over here.
Yeah, okay. I'll be right there. Peg? Peg?
Everything okay?
Something important's come up, and I've got to go. I'm sorry.
I'm sorry, too.
That's how it is with the oil business. Never sleeps, never takes a vacation. Look, I'll call you tomorrow. Get some rest, huh? Okay, I'll let myself out.
Very good, Lieutenant. May we have a few minutes of your time?
Did you find me anyway, Barnaby? It's my day off.
Well, I knew you needed to practice. There was a murder about 6 weeks ago, a fellow named Harry Smith.
Yeah?
Well, can you tell us something about it?
It's sure to tell. He was shot to death. It's not a very nice neighborhood.
Well, I've been in worse, so we checked. His name isn't Harry Smith at all. It's Leo Patterson. We heard he was some kind of a big-time gambler or something.
You know, you're getting more like him every day. Let's go in here. What What else did you hear?
Well, he seems to have overplayed his hand a little while back. He ripped off some people in Chicago for about $200,000. They didn't like it. They let a contract on him. Any idea who took the contract with him?
No, just that he's one of the best in the business. Past 3 years alone, he's hunted down and killed 5 men.
How do you know it's the same hitman?
Same M.O. Right down to packing his own bullets. But he's slipping, Barnaby.
Because the last time there were witnesses?
Maybe they couldn't pick him out of a lineup, but it means he's getting careless. And I don't think that endears him very much to the people he works for.
Any idea who that might be?
Ever hear of a man named Paul Buchanan?
Just the usual rumors. He was behind some very important hits, contracted for by the mob.
Some. Dig behind his classy real estate operation. Our intelligence people tell us that he runs an organization that makes Murder Incorporated seem like a Wednesday night sewing circle.
There's no hard evidence, all right?
Oh, but that could change if we find the man who snuffed out Patterson.
Before Buchanan decides that a careless professional murderer is a dead professional murderer?
Something like that, yeah. What's your interest in this thing, anyway?
Well, you know that accident case that I've been working on I told you about? I think it's Italian.
Oh. Well, I was going to call you on that anyway. We picked up a man who owns a car that matches the description we got from Peggy Giroux.
The hit-and-run driver.
Yeah, we expect a confession any minute.
Any connection to Buchanan?
No, it's just some damn fool who had too much to drink.
Thank you very much, Lieutenant. We'll be in touch.
All right.
Well, how's our patient today, huh? You look like $1 million. Here, easy does it now. Come on. In we go. Easy now. Go in there. Atta boy. You know, you can't be too careful, Neil. I almost forgot about that gun. That's how much I trusted you to deep six it.
Yeah, well, it's like you always said, Paul. Trust is for the banks, isn't it?
Tell me, Neil, how long has it been since I went on my last hit with you, huh? That big mouth in Detroit that I blew up. What was that, about 10, 11 years ago?
Something like that.
Uh-huh. And all the time, you kept the gun I used squirreled away with my fingerprints on it. Oh, Neil, now what kind of a friend are you, huh?
Will you knock it off? I didn't lose that gun because I needed life insurance. I figured someday you'd be putting a contract out on me.
Well, now what did you expect? You blew the Patterson hit.
He's dead, isn't he?
Sure. But a couple of people saw you running away. Now, they nail you. Now, where does that leave me?
You knew I'd never talk.
In my heart, I know. But, Neil, there are other people to consider.
Business is business.
Oh, Neil, why didn't you quit when you had the chance, huh? Why did you have to get so greedy, huh?
I guess I'm like you, Paul. I figured I'd go on forever.
What about Paul Buchanan?
Paul Buchanan. Neil's never mentioned his name. Who is he?
He's what they call a contractor. He doesn't build houses or buildings. He contracts to kill people.
I don't understand. What would Neil be doing with a man like that?
Peggy, recently a contract was put out on a gambler, and we believe that Neil was spotted leaving the scene of the murder.
Neil?
We're not absolutely certain, but we're pretty sure that your brother works for Buchanan.
Could be even his top man.
Neil, a killer? What are you talking about? I don't believe it. You're lying to me.
Hey, look, if you know anything...
You don't know him. He's my brother. He couldn't hurt anyone, not Neil. J.R., you've got to tell me it's not true. J.R., tell me it's not true.
Wish I could. I'm sorry. God, I'm sorry.
Oh, here's the key. Neil, no tricks, huh?
You got all the cards, Paul.
May I help you?
Yes, I'd like to get something out of my box, 714.
Just sign your name here and your box number. Are you both going in?
Yes.
Then you'll have to sign on this line right here. Mr. Giroux. Would you mind signing your name again, please?
Hmm?
Well, the signature on your application's a little bit different.
You're pulling anything.
That's better. Signatures have a way of changing over the years. This way? Your key, Mr. Giroux?
Oh.
Here you go.
Thank you.
All right, let's have it.
So this is what all the commotion was about.
Yeah, that's it. Now let's have it back again.
What are you doing?
And don't you forget, I've got nothing to lose. Miss?
Yes? Finished?
Thank you.
Have a nice day.
It's beginning to look up. This way. Right this way, Sands. Nice and easy. Come on, get up here. Over here. Now, beat it. Stay put, man. Just stay where you're...
You're not gonna get away with it, Neil! Get him. I'll get Buchanan.
Hello? Peggy, this is Betty. Is Barnaby there?
Yes, he was, but he left, Betty.
About how long ago?
Oh, Betty, can you hold on, please? There's somebody at the door. Jim!
Get your coat.
Why? What's happening?
I'll tell you in the car. Just move.
Jim, I'm on the phone. What are you talking about? I have to...
I'm sure it's not very important. Now, look. You and I are going to walk out of here like two old friends going for a Sunday drive, and you better cooperate with me if you want to see your brother alive again. Let's move.
Oh, Barnaby, thank heavens.
What's the matter?
Well, I was just talking to Peggy, and a man came to her door, told her to put on her coat. She asked where they were going, and he didn't say. Then someone hung up the phone. I tried calling her back, but no answer.
Any idea who the man was?
I'm positive I heard the name Jim.
Oh, wait a minute, that friend of Neil's I met yesterday, Jim Rhodes.
Anything further on Paul Buchanan?
He seems to do rather well in real estate.
Office buildings, apartments.
Pays his mortgages in blood, no doubt. Nice guy.
Wait a minute.
What'd you find?
Suncrest Sanitarium, Palisades Road.
Yeah, if Neil was hurt in that accident.
Yeah, that's some place they could have taken him. We'll check that out. Keep trying, Peggy. See what you can get on Jim Rhodes.
Will do.
Hello? Hold on. Tim.
Neil? I figured I wouldn't have to wait too long to hear from you.
Yeah, well, you better listen to what I have to say now. I'm ready to make a deal.
I'm listening.
I want $500,000 for that gun.
That's a lot of money.
It's peanuts compared to spending the rest of your life in prison.
Well, I guess you do have a point. But before we shake on it, there's someone here I think you should talk to.
Neil,
Peggy, what are you doing there?
Jim Rhodes brought me here. Neil, the things they've been telling me about you, they're true, aren't they?
Okay, Neil, my turn. You have 1 hour to turn over that gun.
What happens to my sister?
You deliver, she walks out free. If you don't, you leave me no choice. Understand?
I understand.
Well, it looks peaceful enough.
Maybe that's why they call them sanitariums.
Want to be over there. It's Jim Rhodes.
Take a look down there. Doesn't he look like the fella that was in the picture that Peggy gave us?
Oh, yeah, you're right. That's Neil Giroux. Something funny's going on here, Barnaby.
Well, there's one way to find out what. Hang up, Neil.
Now, look, whatever Buchanan is paying you, I'll double it.
Wrong team. We're working for Peggy.
We're helping her try to find you.
Peggy, always a family warrior. You're not going to use that thing to force me to go home like a bad boy, are you?
I understand the police are looking for you, too.
You got to believe me. I haven't got time to paint in the soft colors. You're getting in my way now could cost Peggy her life.
Why would Buchanan want to hurt your sister?
That's who Jim Rhodes delivered her to, isn't it?
Yeah.
What does he really want?
Me. And this gun.
Why?
Buchanan used it on a hit some time ago. His fingerprints are all over it.
You gotta be kidding if you think he's gonna let her go after he gets his hands on that.
It was a long shot. I had to take a chance. I thought I had a chance until I saw Rhodes outside.
So you thought you'd make a phone call and negotiate a new deal?
Lousy odds, but I don't care about myself anymore. I've got to get Peggy out of there.
All right, Neil, make your call. But if you don't mind, I'll tell you what to say.
Get the gate. Neil, let's have the gun.
I told you what I wanted over the phone. You get the gun when she drives out of here.
Sure, Neil, sure. That's the deal.
Neil,
Peggy,
are you all right?
you've got to trust me. No matter what happens, you trust me.
We've wasted enough time, Neil, huh?
Start driving to the front gate.
All right, Neil. I kept my end of the bargain. Now let's have the gun.
The other one, too.
Close the gate!
What are you doing?
Get the girl!
All right, easy, Neil, easy. Let's go.
Back up. Real easy. Now take your gun out and throw it on the ground.
Hold it! That would be a big mistake.
I take his word for it.
Peg, don't feel bad. It wasn't your fault.
Why didn't you do it?
I don't know. It was easier paid. It was the shortest cut to the things that I wanted, I guess. Peg, I'm sorry. I'm sorry it all turned out this way.
Me?
All right, come on, let's go. Come on, Jerome. Come on.
The evening had begun with the kind of warmth that made old memories feel closer than they really were. Neil Giroux had chosen the little restaurant because it reminded him of childhood. It was not Paris. It was not the place his sister Peggy had grown accustomed to during her years abroad. It was simply a modest family restaurant where their parents had once brought them when they were children. Peggy smiled as she looked around. She had only recently returned from Paris, where she had been studying art. The years away had changed her in many ways, but the sight of her brother seemed to bring back the girl she had once been. She told Neil that the restaurant was perfect. Neil laughed and reminded her that she had always been his greatest admirer. He was genuinely happy to have his little sister home. Peggy, however, had already decided that she would find an apartment of her own the following morning. Neil immediately objected. His home had enough room, he told her, and she could stay as long as she wished. Peggy teased him about not wanting to interfere with his private life. Neil answered with equal amusement. He had expected that she would realize he had not spent all his time in Paris, simply studying. The exchange was light and affectionate. Two siblings who had been separated by distance were enjoying the simple pleasure of being together again. Then Peggy noticed something about Neil. His beard. She asked when he had decided to grow it. Neil told her it had been only a few weeks. She laughed and said that it made him look distinguished. The evening continued pleasantly. Neither of them could imagine how quickly that peaceful night would change. When they finally prepared to leave, Neil went outside to get the car. Peggy remained inside for a moment. Then came a commotion. A frightened voice called for help. Someone shouted that a man had been struck by a car. Peggy rushed outside. She saw her brother lying in the street. At least, she was certain that she did. She remembered seeing him fall. She remembered seeing him apparently injured. She remembered running for help. But when assistance arrived, Neil was gone. The street was empty. There was no obvious sign that anything had happened. Peggy could barely understand what she was seeing. She insisted that her brother had been there only moments earlier. The restaurant owner tried to help. He had not witnessed the incident himself. He had only heard Peggy calling for assistance. The police were contacted. Yet the story became stranger with every passing minute. There was no official report of an accident matching Peggy's description. No hospital had received a patient who resembled Neil. Peggy refused to accept that he had simply walked away. She knew her brother. She had seen him apparently injured. She knew something was wrong. Barnaby Jones was eventually drawn into the mystery. Peggy had reached the point where she had nowhere else to turn. Barnaby listened carefully. He did not immediately dismiss her explanation, even though the evidence seemed to contradict it. Perhaps Neil had suffered some kind of confusion, someone suggested. Perhaps he had wandered away without understanding what he was doing. Peggy rejected the possibility. She believed he had been too badly affected to simply stand up and leave. Barnaby noticed something on the ground. A tissue. Peggy explained that she had used one to wipe her brother's face. It appeared to provide at least a small indication that her story might contain some truth. Barnaby began asking questions about Neil's life. Peggy said that her brother was supposedly involved in heavy machinery. He owned a company called Westland Engineering Corporation. Barnaby asked Betty Jones to investigate the company. The answer came back quickly. Westland Engineering Corporation did not exist. It had never existed. The discovery changed the entire investigation. Neil had not merely disappeared. He had apparently been living behind a false identity. The question was why. Barnaby searched through Neil's apartment. At first, there seemed to be nothing useful. But the more carefully he looked, the more suspicious the place became. A window appeared to have been disturbed. A closet was not arranged as Peggy remembered it. Objects had been moved. Someone had searched the apartment. But what had that person been looking for? Peggy could not say. She insisted that Neil had seemed perfectly normal. There was, however, one object that caught Barnaby's attention. A photograph of a woman. Peggy explained that Neil kept it with his belongings. On the back was a personal message signed by a woman named Gyan. Peggy did not know who Gyan was. Barnaby decided to find her. Betty began searching. Eventually, they located Jan Redbone. Jan was a brunette who worked in entertainment. When Barnaby introduced himself, she initially assumed he had come regarding an acting opportunity. Instead, he asked about Neil. Her expression changed immediately. She knew him. She had seen him approximately a week before his disappearance. Jan admitted that Neil had always been difficult to understand. Sometimes she believed she knew everything about him. At other times, he seemed like a complete stranger. She knew that he claimed to be successful. She knew that he spoke about heavy machinery. She knew that he traveled frequently. But whenever she asked where he was going, he changed the subject. She had once joked that he might be a secret agent. The joke no longer seemed funny. Jen also revealed something more personal. She loved Neil. She believed he loved her in his own way. But she suspected that another woman was involved. Several weeks earlier, Neil had canceled a date with her at the last minute. He said that business had come up. Jan did not believe him. She had waited outside his home and followed him to an apartment building on Laura Vista. She had seen him enter. She had not seen the woman he was visiting. Hurt and embarrassed, Jan returned home and soon left for New York to work on a television program. Before leaving, however, she remembered the address. 315 South Laura Vista, Apartment 7. That address became the next destination. Barnaby and his associate went there. The apartment was occupied by a woman named Candy Mason. Candy was lively, confident, and completely unimpressed by the seriousness surrounding Barnaby's questions. She explained that she had only recently moved into the apartment. Before that, she had lived upstairs. There was a reason the apartment had been available so cheaply. A man named Harry Smith had died there some weeks earlier. Candy remembered reading about it. She also remembered that someone had been seen leaving the building afterward. The description was vague. A tall man. Athletic build. Dark hair. The lighting had been poor. Nobody could be completely certain. Barnaby showed Candy the photograph of Neil. She immediately recognized the resemblance. Suddenly, the disappearance of Neil seemed connected to something much larger. Barnaby contacted Lieutenant Duffy. The lieutenant revealed that the dead man had not actually been named Harry Smith. His real name was Leo Patterson. Patterson had been involved in gambling. He had also apparently taken money from dangerous people in Chicago. The investigation suggested that someone had wanted him found. The person who had arranged it was believed to be Paul Buchanan. Buchanan presented himself as a successful businessman involved in real estate. Behind that respectable image, however, investigators suspected a far darker organization. Barnaby began to wonder whether Neil had been working for Buchanan. The thought seemed impossible. Neil was Peggy's beloved older brother. To her, he was the person who had teased her when they were children, encouraged her art, and welcomed her home. He could not possibly be the man Barnaby was beginning to suspect. But the evidence continued to accumulate. Meanwhile, Neil was somewhere else. He was alive. He was being held under circumstances he could not control. He had become part of a dangerous dispute between people who knew far more about his past than Peggy ever had. Paul Buchanan confronted him. The conversation revealed a secret that changed everything. Neil had once worked with Buchanan. Years earlier, Buchanan had been involved in activities that required absolute secrecy. Neil knew too much. And somewhere in Neil's possession was an object Buchanan desperately wanted. A particular gun. It was not valuable because of its appearance. It was valuable because it carried evidence connecting Buchanan to an earlier crime. Neil had kept it hidden for years. He had understood that one day the information connected with that weapon might protect him. Now Buchanan wanted it back. Neil knew what would happen if Buchanan obtained it. The weapon was the only thing giving him leverage. Buchanan accused Neil of making mistakes. Neil responded that he had never expected to be betrayed by the very man he had once trusted. Buchanan insisted that business came before friendship. Neil finally admitted that he had spent too many years believing he could continue living that way forever. The conversation revealed the tragedy beneath the mystery. Neil had not become trapped because he was careless. He had become trapped because he had spent years making compromises that eventually caught up with him. When Peggy learned what Barnaby suspected, she was devastated. She could not accept that her brother might have lived a secret life. Barnaby tried to explain that people could hide enormous parts of themselves even from those closest to them. Peggy refused to believe that Neil was beyond saving. She wanted to find him. She wanted to hear him explain everything himself. Barnaby understood. The search continued. A clue eventually led to a safety deposit box. Neil had hidden something there. Barnaby realized that the object Buchanan wanted might be inside. The investigation became a race. Who would reach the box first? Who would obtain the evidence? And most importantly, could Peggy be found before she became another victim of the secrets surrounding her brother? At the same time, another man entered the story. Jim Rhodes. Jim had known Neil for many years. He had recently returned from overseas, where he worked for an oil company. When he arrived at Peggy's apartment, she recognized him immediately. They had known each other as children. The reunion initially appeared innocent. Jim expressed surprise at how much Peggy had grown since he last saw her. He remembered her freckles, her scraped knees, and her braces. Peggy laughed. For a moment, the investigation seemed to disappear. Then Jim learned that Neil was missing. His expression became difficult to read. He asked questions. Barnaby noticed. There was something about Jim Rhodes that did not quite fit. Later, Barnaby and his associates continued following the clues. The name Paul Buchanan kept appearing. So did the mysterious object Neil had hidden. And so did the name Ivanhoe. Neil had apparently spoken the word while being questioned. At first, nobody understood it. Perhaps it was a name. Perhaps it was a place. Perhaps it was connected to a book. Then Barnaby realized that it might be a clue to the location of the hidden evidence. Meanwhile, Peggy remained unaware of how quickly danger was approaching her. She received a visit. Jim Rhodes was at the door. He told her that they needed to leave. Peggy questioned him. He remained calm. Too calm. He told her that if she wanted to see her brother alive, she needed to cooperate. The moment Peggy understood that Jim was not there as a friend, everything changed. Barnaby was informed. He immediately understood that the situation had become urgent. Jim Rhodes was not merely an old acquaintance. He was connected to Buchanan. Peggy had been taken because she was Neil's greatest weakness. Buchanan wanted Neil, and he wanted the gun. The pieces finally came together. Barnaby discovered the location, where Neil was being held. He also learned that Buchanan intended to use Peggy to force Neil into surrendering the evidence. Neil eventually managed to contact Buchanan. He demanded money in exchange for the weapon. He asked for $500,000. Buchanan considered the proposal, but neither man trusted the other. Neil knew that once Buchanan had the gun, there would be no reason for him to keep his promises. Buchanan knew that Neil was running out of options. Then Peggy appeared. Neil's face changed when he saw her. He had expected to negotiate alone. Instead, Buchanan had brought his sister into the room. Peggy looked at him with disbelief. She asked whether the things she had heard were true. Neil could not lie anymore. His sister finally understood that the brother she loved had been hiding a dangerous past. Yet she also saw something else. He was trying to protect her. Whatever mistakes he had made, he was not willing to sacrifice her to save himself. Buchanan gave Neil an ultimatum. Bring the gun. If he did, Peggy would be released. If he refused, Buchanan would make another decision. Neil agreed. But Barnaby was already working on a plan. He knew that a direct confrontation would put Peggy at even greater risk. The safest way to resolve the situation was to make Buchanan believe he had won. Neil arrived with the evidence. Peggy was brought outside. Buchanan demanded the weapon. Neil insisted that Peggy be allowed to leave first. Buchanan agreed. For a moment, everything appeared settled. Peggy began moving toward safety. Neil handed over what Buchanan believed was the object he wanted. Then the situation shifted. Barnaby and the authorities were already in position. The trap closed. Buchanan realized that Neil had outmaneuvered him. The weapon and the evidence were no longer his protection. They had become the means by which the truth could finally be established. Buchanan tried to regain control. But there was nowhere left to go. The people around him had begun to turn away. His carefully constructed world was collapsing. Neil looked at Peggy. She looked back at him. There were no easy words. She had spent the entire investigation believing her brother was simply missing. Now she knew that he had been living a life she had never understood. But she also knew that he had finally chosen to stop running. The authorities took Buchanan into custody. The investigation into Neil's past continued. There were questions that could not be answered in a single evening. There were consequences for decisions he had made years earlier. But there was also the possibility of beginning again. Peggy had come home from Paris expecting to find her brother exactly as she remembered him. Instead, she discovered that adulthood had changed both of them. She had become an artist. Neil had become a man carrying secrets. Their reunion had begun with laughter over a beard and memories of childhood. It had ended with the painful discovery that love between family members sometimes means accepting truths that are difficult to hear. Barnaby understood that the case had never been only about a missing man. It had been about identity, trust, choices, and the long shadow cast by decisions made years before anyone was ready to face their consequences. Neil had spent a long time believing that secrets could protect him. In the end, those same secrets had trapped him. The most important lesson was not that people should be afraid of the past. It was that the past cannot remain hidden forever. Eventually, choices have consequences. Eventually, truth demands attention. And sometimes the person who needs saving most is not the person everyone is searching for. Sometimes it is the person who has been lost inside his own mistakes. Peggy had wanted her brother back. She did not get back the brother she remembered from childhood. Instead, she found a man who had made serious mistakes and finally had to confront them. That was not a perfect ending, but it was an honest one. And honesty gave them something that secrets never could: a chance to begin again. For Peggy, that meant returning to her art with a new understanding of the complicated people around her. For Neil, it meant accepting responsibility and facing the consequences of his past. For Barnaby, it was another case that proved appearances could be misleading. A quiet restaurant could hide a complicated history. An old photograph could open a door to a mystery. A false company could reveal a false life. And a forgotten object could become the key to uncovering the truth. The night had started with two siblings sharing memories. It ended with them facing reality together. And perhaps that was the most important discovery of all. People are rarely defined by a single moment. They are shaped by their choices. They are changed by the consequences. And sometimes, when the truth finally arrives, the greatest courage is not in escaping the past. It is in facing it. The story of Neil Giroux and Peggy was therefore not simply a story about disappearance, secrets, and deception. It was a story about family, about trust, about regret, and about the possibility of choosing a better path when the old one has finally come to an end. The past could not be erased, but the future was still waiting. And for the first time in a long while, Neil no longer had to face it alone. The days that followed were quieter than the night. Everything had changed, but the quiet did not mean that life had returned to normal. Peggy remained close to Neil. She knew there were still questions between them. Some were questions she was not yet ready to ask. Others were questions Neil was not yet ready to answer. For years, Peggy had carried an idealized picture of her older brother. In her memories, Neil was the boy who had protected her, teased her, and made her laugh when she was frightened. He had been the person who seemed to know what to do whenever she did not. Now she understood that even the people we love most can carry parts of themselves that remain hidden. That realization did not erase her love for him. It simply changed the way she understood it. Neil, meanwhile, had to face the consequences of the life he had built. There would be no convenient way to return to the man he had pretended to be. The company that never existed could no longer protect him. The stories about his business travels could no longer cover his tracks. The people he had known through Buchanan were no longer shadows at the edge of his life. They were part of his history. And history had finally caught up with him. Barnaby Jones knew that the investigation was far from finished. The arrest of Buchanan had opened another series of questions. How long had the organization existed? How many people had been involved? How many identities had been invented? How many lives had been affected by decisions made behind closed doors? Some answers would come through official investigations. Others would probably remain buried. But Barnaby had learned enough to understand one important fact. The case had never been as simple as a missing person investigation. From the beginning, almost every clue had pointed toward another secret. The non-existent company, the mysterious woman in the photograph, the apartment on Laura Vista, the dead gambler, the false name, the hidden gun, the safety deposit box, and finally, the man who had appeared to be an old friend. Each clue had seemed insignificant when viewed alone. Together, they formed a picture. Neil had spent years believing that he could control every part of his secret life. He had believed that he could keep one world separate from another. He had believed that the past could remain safely locked away. But secrets rarely stay where people put them. Eventually, someone finds the key. Sometimes the key is a photograph. Sometimes it is a forgotten name. Sometimes it is a simple question asked at exactly the wrong moment. And sometimes it is a sister who refuses to stop looking for her brother. Peggy's persistence had mattered. Without her insistence that something was wrong, the entire mystery might have remained buried. People had told her that perhaps she had misunderstood what she saw. Perhaps Neil had wandered away. Perhaps she had been confused. Perhaps there had never been an accident at all. But Peggy trusted what she knew. She knew her brother. She knew something had happened. And she refused to allow uncertainty to become an excuse for giving up. That determination had eventually led Barnaby toward the truth. It had also forced Peggy to confront a truth she never wanted to know. Her brother was not the person she thought he was. Yet that did not mean every memory was false. The childhood they shared had been real. Their parents had loved them. The restaurant had been real. The laughter had been real. The memories were not destroyed simply because Neil had hidden another part of himself. People are complicated. A person can make terrible choices and still love his family. A person can become lost and still want to find his way home. Neil had spent too long believing that there was no road back. Perhaps that was the greatest mistake of all. He had assumed that once he entered a dangerous world, he could never leave it. So he continued. One decision became another. One secret required another secret. One lie demanded another explanation. Eventually, he could no longer remember where the original truth had been buried. The gun became the symbol of everything he had tried to hide. It represented the old life, the old choices, the people he had trusted, the people he had betrayed, the fear that one day someone would use his own past against him. Buchanan had believed the weapon gave him control. Neil had believed it gave him protection. In reality, the gun had controlled both of them. It had dictated their choices. It had driven their decisions. It had turned old friendships into threats. And it had brought Neil's secret life directly into Peggy's world. That was the irony Barnaby understood better than anyone. The object everyone wanted had never really been the answer. The truth surrounding it was. Once that truth came into the light, the weapon lost much of its power. Buchanan could no longer hide behind his respectable business. The people who had worked for him could no longer pretend they knew nothing. And Neil could no longer pretend that his past did not exist. There was still a long road ahead. But for the first time, that road was visible. Peggy returned to her work. Her paintings changed. She did not suddenly become a different artist. But there was a new patience in the way she looked at people. Before, she had been fascinated by appearances. Now she understood that appearances could be misleading. A smiling face could hide fear. A confident voice could conceal uncertainty. A familiar person could have an unfamiliar past. She began to see people not simply as they appeared, but as collections of choices and experiences. Her art became more thoughtful. Perhaps that was one of the unexpected lessons she carried from the ordeal. Pain did not always have to destroy something. Sometimes it could deepen it. Sometimes a difficult experience could teach a person to see the world with greater compassion. Peggy did not excuse Neil's mistakes. She did not pretend they had never happened. But she also refused to reduce him to those mistakes. That distinction mattered. Forgiveness did not mean forgetting. It meant recognizing the truth and still believing that a person could choose differently. Neil had much to answer for. He knew that. But he also knew that Peggy had not abandoned him. That knowledge meant more to him than he could easily express. One evening, the two of them returned to the restaurant where everything had begun. The same tables were there. The same familiar atmosphere surrounded them. For a moment, Peggy looked around and remembered their parents. Neil noticed her expression. She smiled. They talked about childhood. They laughed about old family stories. Neil teased her again. Peggy reminded him that he had never been nearly as clever as he thought he was. He laughed. The conversation became lighter. It was not an attempt to erase what had happened. It was an acknowledgement that life continued. The past would always be part of them, but it did not have to control every moment that came afterward. Neil looked at his sister. He told her that he was sorry. Not the kind of apology offered simply because someone expects one. A real apology. One that admitted that he had made choices that had hurt people. Peggy listened. Then she told him something he had needed to hear. He could not change what he had done, but he could decide what he would do next. Neil nodded. For the first time, he seemed to understand that those words were more important than any promise he could make. The future would not be easy, but it would be honest. And perhaps honesty was the beginning they both needed. Across town, Barnaby Jones continued working. There were always more mysteries, more missing people, More families searching for answers. More situations in which the obvious explanation turned out to be wrong. Barnaby knew that his work would never allow him to become completely comfortable with appearances. That was one reason he remained good at what he did. He listened. He watched. He asked questions. And when something did not make sense, he refused to stop simply because someone else thought the case was finished. The disappearance of Neil Giroux had begun with a strange accident. It had led through false identities, hidden relationships, and a dangerous criminal organization. Yet the final lesson was surprisingly simple. Trust must be earned. Secrets have consequences. And no one can live forever by running away from the truth. The story could have ended with an arrest. It could have ended with the discovery of the weapon. It could have ended with Peggy being rescued. But those were only the visible conclusions. The deeper conclusion belonged to the people involved. Buchanan lost the illusion of control. Neil lost the false identity he had built. Peggy lost the innocent image she had carried of her brother. But each of them also gained something. Buchanan was finally forced to confront the consequences of his actions. Neil was given an opportunity to stop living behind lies. And Peggy gained a deeper understanding of the difference between loving someone and blindly believing everything about them. That difference is important. Love does not require pretending. Love does not demand that the truth be hidden. Sometimes love means telling someone that they have made a mistake. Sometimes it means refusing to help them repeat it. And sometimes it means standing beside them while they accept the consequences. Peggy chose that kind of love. It was not easy, but it was honest. Years later, she would probably remember that evening at the restaurant as the beginning of something she had never expected. She had thought she was simply coming home. Instead, she had walked into a mystery. She had searched for her missing brother. She had discovered a hidden life. She had faced disappointment. She had faced fear. And ultimately, she had found the courage to look at the truth without allowing it to destroy her. Neil had learned something too. A person cannot build a safe life on secrets. The foundation may look solid for years, but eventually one small crack is enough. Then another appears, and another, until the entire structure begins to collapse. The answer is not always to build a stronger wall. Sometimes the answer is to stop hiding, to admit what happened, to accept responsibility, to make amends where possible, and to begin again. That is what Neil now had to do. There would be no dramatic transformation overnight. Real change rarely happens that way. It happens through small decisions. One honest conversation. One truthful answer. One refusal to return to the old life. One choice after another. Eventually, those choices become a new life. Peggy understood that. She had spent years studying art because she wanted to understand the world through images. Now she realized that people were much harder to interpret than paintings. A painting could be examined. A person could change. A painting could be turned toward the light. A person could spend years hiding from it. But even the darkest room could be opened. All it required was someone willing to find the door. And Peggy had found hers. She had also helped her brother find his. The final memory of that strange period in their lives was not the gun. It was not the confrontation. It was not Buchanan's threats. It was a quiet moment between brother and sister. No disguises. No invented companies. No false stories. Just two people sitting together and talking honestly. That was worth more than any hidden fortune. More than any secret contract. More than any protection money. Because when everything else had been stripped away, family remained. Not a perfect family. Not an uncomplicated one, but a real one. And sometimes that is enough. The case had begun with a disappearance. It ended with a return. Not simply the return of Neil to his family, but the return of truth to a life that had been buried under years of deception. And perhaps that was the real meaning behind the mysterious gun that had hung over everyone like an unseen threat. The weapon itself was never the most dangerous thing. The dangerous thing was what people were willing to do to keep their secrets. Once those secrets were exposed, the power they held began to disappear. The Damocles gun had finally lost its power. The truth had taken its place. The morning after the confrontation felt strangely ordinary. The city continued to move as though nothing unusual had happened. Cars passed through busy streets. People hurried toward work. Restaurants opened their doors. Telephones rang in offices. Somewhere, a man complained about his coffee being cold. Somewhere else, someone was already late for an appointment. Life had continued without waiting for anyone. Peggy found something comforting in that. After everything she had experienced, ordinary life felt precious. She woke early and stood by the window for several minutes. The light outside was soft. For the first time in days, she did not feel that she had to rush somewhere. There was no missing person to find. No mysterious address to investigate. No stranger waiting outside the door. No unanswered telephone call that might change everything. She breathed slowly. Then she smiled. It was a small smile, but it was genuine. Neil was still facing the consequences of his past. Peggy knew that. There would be questions from investigators. There would be records to examine. There would be people who wanted explanations. There would be decisions that could not be avoided. But at least there were no more lies between them. That mattered. When Peggy eventually saw Neil again, he looked tired. Not physically tired. Something deeper. The kind of exhaustion that comes when a person has spent too many years carrying something heavy and finally sets it down. Peggy sat across from him. For several moments, neither spoke. Then Neil smiled. He said that he had never imagined his little sister would become the person who saved him. Peggy immediately disagreed. She said that he had saved himself. She had simply refused to stop looking. Neil shook his head. He told her that if she had not come home when she did, everything might have continued exactly as before. Peggy looked at him. She reminded him that eventually he would have had to make a choice. Neil knew she was right. That was perhaps the hardest truth of all. People often imagine that circumstances force them into decisions. Sometimes they do. But circumstances rarely remove every choice. Neil had made choices. Buchanan had made choices. Jim Rhodes had made choices. Peggy had made choices too. Barnaby had made choices. The difference was what each person chose to do when confronted with the consequences. Neil had spent years choosing secrecy. Now he had to choose honesty. That would be his real test. Not escaping Buchanan. Not hiding the weapon. Not inventing another identity. Simply telling the truth when telling the truth was difficult. Peggy believed he could do it. She had to believe it. Otherwise, everything they had survived would become only another painful memory. Later that day, Barnaby visited. He carried a folder. Peggy looked at it and immediately joked that she hoped it was not another mystery. Barnaby smiled. He told her that after what she had been through, he thought she deserved a week without mysteries. Peggy laughed. It was the first time in several days that she had laughed without forcing herself. Barnaby explained that there were still investigations to complete, but the immediate danger had passed. Peggy thanked him. Barnaby waved away the gratitude. He told her that she had done most of the hard work. She had trusted her instincts. She had kept asking questions. She had refused to accept an explanation simply because it was convenient. Peggy said that she had only been trying to find her brother. Barnaby replied that sometimes that was exactly what solving a mystery required. A person who cared enough not to give up. The conversation turned lighter. Peggy asked Barnaby whether all his cases ended with people sitting around discussing their feelings. He laughed. He said that most did not. Peggy told him that perhaps he needed more pleasant cases. Barnaby answered that he would have to speak with his clients about that. For a few moments, the atmosphere became almost cheerful. That was another lesson of the experience. Even after fear, people could laugh again. Even after disappointment, they could find warmth. Even after discovering painful truths, they could still enjoy a cup of coffee. Life was not required to remain dark simply because one chapter had been. Meanwhile, the investigation into Buchanan's activities continued. Authorities began piecing together information that had been scattered across years. Names appeared in old records. Companies that had seemed legitimate turned out to have connections that required further examination. Financial transactions raised questions. People who had once remained silent began talking. The organization that had seemed so powerful was beginning to lose its greatest advantage: fear. For years, fear had kept people quiet. Fear had convinced witnesses to look away. Fear had encouraged employees to obey. Fear had allowed Buchanan to maintain his respectable public image. But once people realized that the system was breaking apart, the silence became harder to maintain. One person talked. Then another. Then another. The truth spread. Not quickly. Not dramatically. But steadily. And that was enough. Buchanan had spent years building an organization around control. He had forgotten that control depends upon people believing that resistance is impossible. Once they discovered that resistance was possible, his authority weakened. Neil understood this better than most. He had lived inside that system. He had seen how promises were made. He had seen how threats were delivered. He had seen how people were persuaded to believe that there was no alternative. The most dangerous idea was always the same. You have no choice. Neil had believed it. For years. Now he knew better. There was always a choice. Sometimes the choices were painful. Sometimes every available path carried consequences. But there was still a decision to make. And that decision belonged to the individual. Peggy wanted Neil to understand that. She did not want him to spend the rest of his life believing he had simply been a victim of circumstances. That would be another form of escape. She wanted him to accept responsibility, because responsibility also meant possibility. If he had chosen badly, he could choose differently. If he had lied, he could tell the truth. If he had hurt people, he could try to make amends. If he had spent years running, he could finally stop. That was the kind of hope Peggy believed in. Not an easy hope. Not a sentimental promise. A practical one. The hope that people could change if they were willing to work for it. Neil eventually began cooperating with investigators. It was not easy. Every answer opened another question. Every name brought back another memory. There were moments when he wanted to stop talking. But he continued. He understood that silence had once been his protection. Now it would only become another prison. He spoke about Buchanan. He spoke about the organization. He spoke about his own involvement. He did not make himself sound innocent. He did not pretend that every decision had been forced upon him. He admitted that he had wanted money. He had wanted status. He had wanted the freedom to live without worrying about ordinary financial problems. At first, the lifestyle had seemed exciting. Then it became normal. Then it became necessary. Finally, it became impossible to escape. That was how the trap had worked. Not through one dramatic decision. Through hundreds of small ones. A favor. A secret. A payment. A lie. Another favor. Another secret. Eventually, the person no longer recognized the life he had created. Neil said that if he could go back, he would have walked away much earlier. But going back was impossible. The only direction available was forward. Peggy heard his statement and understood something. She did not need her brother to become the man he had been when they were children. That was impossible. She needed him to become a better man than he had been yesterday. That was possible. It was a modest goal. But sometimes modest goals were the strongest ones. Days passed. The city returned to its normal rhythm. Peggy worked on her paintings. Barnaby returned to his investigations. Neil continued answering questions. And the case slowly moved from the headlines of people's lives into the quieter world of records and courtrooms. But its lessons remained. For Peggy, the lesson was about trust. Trust was not blind belief. It was not pretending that someone could do no wrong. True trust meant believing that a person could face the truth. For Neil, the lesson was about responsibility. A person's past could explain behavior. It could not excuse everything. For Barnaby, the lesson was familiar. The obvious answer was not always the correct one. And for everyone involved, there was another lesson. People are often more complicated than the stories told about them. The respected businessman could be hiding a criminal organization. The missing brother could be hiding a secret life. The old friend could be hiding a dangerous purpose. And the frightened sister could turn out to be the strongest person in the entire story. Months later, Peggy would sometimes think about the night at the restaurant. She remembered how happy she had been to see Neil. She remembered the jokes. She remembered the memories of their parents. She remembered asking about his beard. It seemed strange now. Such an ordinary conversation before such an extraordinary series of events. But perhaps that was how life worked. Nobody receives a warning before a difficult chapter begins. There is no announcement. No dramatic signal. One moment, everything seems normal. The next moment, everything has changed. That is why ordinary moments matter. A meal with family. A conversation. A laugh. A photograph. A walk home. A simple question. Those moments may seem insignificant when they happen. Later, they may become the memories people treasure most. Peggy learned not to take them for granted. She also learned not to assume that loving someone meant knowing everything about them. People remain mysterious even to those closest to us. The challenge is not to know every secret. The challenge is to be willing to face the truth when the secret finally appears. Neil had once believed that protecting Peggy meant keeping her away from his real life. In the end, the secrecy had placed her in greater danger. He finally understood that protection built on lies was not protection at all. It was simply another kind of risk. The best protection was honesty. The best defense was trust. And the strongest bond was one that could survive the truth. Peggy never forgot that. Neither did Neil. Their relationship changed after the case. It became more mature, less idealized, more honest. They could speak about difficult things. They could disagree. They could admit when they were wrong. They could laugh without pretending everything was perfect. That was perhaps the greatest gift to come from everything they had endured. Not a perfect ending, a real one. Because real life rarely ends with every question neatly answered. Some questions remain. Some consequences take years. Some wounds take time. But people can still move forward. They can learn. They can change. They can choose differently. And sometimes, after a long period of fear and uncertainty, the simple act of sitting beside someone you love can feel like a victory. Peggy and Neil eventually did exactly that. No secrets. No disguises. No hidden identities. Just brother and sister. The same two people who had once shared a childhood. Older now. Wiser. Changed. But still connected by the memories that had existed long before either of them understood how complicated life could become. Outside, the city moved on. Inside, Peggy smiled. Neil smiled back. And for the first time, neither of them needed to wonder what would happen next. They did not know. But they were ready to find out together. Time had a way of making the most frightening moments seem distant, but it never completely erased what they had taught. For Peggy, the experience remained a quiet reference point in her life. Whenever she faced uncertainty, she remembered the first night she had returned home. She remembered how ordinary everything had seemed. She remembered the restaurant. She remembered Neil laughing about his beard. She remembered thinking that she had finally returned to the life she had left behind. She had been wrong about one thing. There was no going back to the past. There was only moving forward. The realization did not make her sad. In some ways, it made her feel free. She had spent years believing that returning home meant recovering something that had been waiting for her. Now she understood that home was not a frozen place preserved in memory. Home was something people built again. Sometimes it had to be rebuilt after disappointment. Sometimes after misunderstanding. Sometimes after painful truth. But it could still be rebuilt. Neil understood that too. His life was different now. The people he had once feared were no longer controlling his every decision. The organization that had once seemed impossible to escape had begun to unravel. The name Paul Buchanan no longer carried the same power. But Neil knew that freedom came with responsibility. He could not simply walk away from his past and pretend it had never existed. He had to answer for it. That process was uncomfortable. There were interviews. There were documents. There were questions about old events. There were people who remembered him differently than Peggy did. Some remembered the man he had been before the secrets. Others remembered the man he had become. Neil listened to all of them. Sometimes it was difficult. Sometimes he wanted to defend himself. But gradually, he learned the difference between explanation and excuse. An explanation could help someone understand why a decision had been made. It did not make the decision right. That was a lesson he had avoided for years. Now he accepted it. He began speaking openly about the choices that had led him into Buchanan's world. At first, he described the beginning as something almost harmless. A business opportunity. A chance to make money. A connection that seemed useful. Then came another opportunity. Another person. Another favor. Before long, the boundaries had disappeared. Neil had convinced himself that he was still in control. That was the most dangerous illusion. People rarely wake up one morning and decide to become someone they never imagined being. More often, they take one small step, then another. Each step seems reasonable by itself. Only later do they look back and realize how far they have traveled. Neil had looked back. He did not like what he saw, but he no longer looked away. That was progress. Peggy noticed the difference. She did not praise him excessively. She did not treat him like a hero. She simply acknowledged that he was trying. Sometimes that was enough. One afternoon, Peggy brought a new painting to show him. Neil studied it carefully. The painting showed a narrow street at dusk. There were buildings on both sides. Windows reflected the fading light. At the end of the street, there was an open space where the sky could be seen. Neil asked what it meant. Peggy smiled. She told him that it was simply a street. Neil did not believe her. He said artists always had an explanation. Peggy laughed. She told him that perhaps this artist did not. Neil looked again. Then he said that he liked the open space at the end. Peggy asked why. He answered that it looked like somewhere a person could go. She smiled. Perhaps that was the entire meaning. A path. A direction. A possibility. Nobody could erase the road behind them, but they could choose where to go next. Barnaby continued to check in from time to time. He had become more than a private investigator in Peggy's eyes. He was someone who had entered her life during one of its most confusing periods and helped her separate truth from appearances. He never acted as though he had all the answers. That was one reason Peggy trusted him. Barnaby knew that investigation was not about certainty. It was about asking the right questions until the truth had fewer places left to hide. He had followed the clues because they did not fit together. The missing blood. The non-existent company. The disturbed apartment. The photograph. The mysterious address. The dead gambler. The hidden identity. The safety deposit box. The weapon. Each clue had challenged the previous explanation. That was what made the case so difficult. Every answer created another question. Yet, that was also what made the final solution possible. The truth rarely arrives as one perfect revelation. It is assembled, piece by piece. Observation by observation. Conversation by conversation. Sometimes it takes patience. Sometimes it takes persistence. And sometimes it takes someone who is willing to say, "That does not make sense." Barnaby had said it many times. Peggy had said it too. That simple refusal to accept an easy explanation had changed everything. Years later, people might remember the case for its mystery. They might remember the missing man, the strange accident, the hidden weapon, the dangerous businessman. But Peggy remembered something different. She remembered the people. She remembered how fear could make people behave strangely. She remembered how pride could keep people silent. She remembered how guilt could make someone defensive. She remembered how love could make someone refuse to give up. That was the human part of the story. And that was the part she carried with her. She also learned that courage did not always look dramatic. Sometimes courage was asking a question. Sometimes it was admitting that you were wrong. Sometimes it was telling the truth. Sometimes it was forgiving someone without pretending that nothing had happened. And sometimes it was simply getting up the next morning and continuing. Neil had to practice that kind of courage every day. There were mornings when he woke up thinking about the old life. There were memories that returned unexpectedly. A name. A place. A sound. A particular conversation. For a moment, he would feel the old fear. Then he would remind himself that the fear no longer controlled him. He had made mistakes, but he was no longer making them. That distinction became important. People often imagine change as a dramatic transformation. In reality, change can be almost invisible. It can be a decision made when nobody is watching. A refusal to accept easy money. A decision to tell the truth. A choice to leave rather than stay. A phone call made honestly. A promise kept. Those moments accumulate. Eventually, a person becomes different not because of one grand gesture, but because of hundreds of small choices. Neil began building his life that way. Slowly. Carefully. Without pretending. Peggy encouraged him to think about what he wanted to do next. He admitted that he did not know. She told him that not knowing was better than pretending. He laughed. She had a point. For years, Neil had acted as though he knew exactly where he was going. Now he was finally comfortable admitting that he did not. That honesty felt strangely liberating. He began exploring legitimate business opportunities. Nothing dramatic. Nothing secret. Nothing that required another name. He wanted something simple. A life where he could answer the telephone without wondering who was calling. A life where he could travel without inventing a reason. A life where his sister could visit without becoming part of a dangerous secret. A life where dinner could simply be dinner. It sounded ordinary. To Neil, it sounded wonderful. Peggy understood. She had once thought ordinary life was boring. After everything that had happened, she no longer agreed. Ordinary life was precious. A quiet morning. A good meal. A painting finished on time. A conversation with family. A laugh that did not have to hide anything. These were not small things. They were the foundation of a good life. That was the lesson Neil had learned too late. But not so late that it could not matter. The story of the Damocles gun had begun with fear. Fear of discovery. Fear of betrayal. Fear of imprisonment. Fear of losing everything. But it ended with something stronger. Choice. Neil could not choose what had already happened. He could choose what happened next. Peggy could not recover the years her brother had spent living behind secrets. She could choose how to spend the years ahead. Barnaby could not undo the crimes he had investigated. He could continue helping people who needed answers. And even the people who had been damaged by Buchanan's organization could begin rebuilding their lives. The past remained. But it no longer had to dictate the future. That was the real meaning of the ending. Not that everything became perfect. Not that every consequence disappeared. Not that every relationship returned to what it had been. Instead, the people involved finally had the opportunity to live honestly. And sometimes that is the best ending anyone can ask for. One evening, Peggy and Neil walked through the city together. They passed restaurants. They passed shops. They passed people laughing outside cafes. Neil stopped at a window. There was a small display of old photographs. One of them reminded him of the restaurant where they had eaten the night before everything began. Peggy noticed. She asked whether he remembered it. Neil said that he did. She asked whether he regretted choosing that restaurant. He thought for a moment. Then he said no. Peggy was surprised. He explained that if he had chosen somewhere else, perhaps none of it would have happened in exactly the same way. But then he would never have been forced to face the truth. Peggy nodded. She understood. Sometimes people look back at difficult moments and wish they had never happened. That feeling is natural. But there are moments when hardship becomes a turning point. Not because hardship is good. It is not. But because people can decide what to do with what happened. Neil had finally made that decision. He wanted to live differently. Peggy wanted to help him do it. They continued walking. The city lights reflected on the pavement. There was nothing extraordinary about the scene. That was what made it beautiful. No one was chasing them. No one was threatening them. No one was hiding. They were simply walking home. For Peggy, that was enough. For Neil, it was more than enough. It was freedom. Not the dramatic kind. The quiet kind. The kind that allows a person to breathe. The kind that allows someone to sleep without fear. The kind that allows a brother and sister to sit together without wondering which part of the conversation is a lie. The kind that comes when the truth has finally been spoken. The gun had once hung over their lives like a threat. Now it was simply evidence of a past that could no longer control them. The danger had not been the object itself. The danger had been the secrets surrounding it. Once the secrets were exposed, the fear began to disappear. And that was perhaps the final lesson. Secrets can look powerful when they are hidden, but truth becomes powerful when people are willing to face it. Peggy had faced it. Neil had faced it. Barnaby had followed it. And in the end, the truth had done what lies never could. It had given them a future that would not be perfect, a future that would still contain difficult days, a future that would require work, but a future that belonged to them. And for people who had spent so long living in the shadow of someone else's secrets, that was freedom enough. The story was over, but their lives were not. That was the important part. The mystery had been solved. The truth had been uncovered. The danger had passed. Now came the quieter challenge. Living honestly after the mystery was gone. And sometimes that was the hardest challenge of all.